John this time.
All right. Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Western New York Heroes Tuesday Morning Talk. I'm Chris Krieger with Lynn Magistrali, and this morning we have with us the Burchfield Penny Art Center, and they're here to talk with us today about the program that they have going on, and I believe a continuous program that goes on and on quite a bit with our veterans in Western New York. So I'm going to turn it over this morning to both Lynn and Gina, and let them take it from there.
Yep. I had to ask Gina how to pronounce her last name, so I hope I got it right, Gina Dorico. So I'm here with Gina, and I am going to let Gina talk about all the awesome programs, and we're really excited to hear about these programs, which I was not aware of, and how we're going to be able to partner with you guys in the future, in the near future.
Well, the Burchfield Penny has a program. It's the Artists and Veterans Collaborative, and it is a monthly program. It meets on the third Thursday of every month from 6 o'clock at night until 8 or so in the evening. And I think the program first got underway in the end of 2014, 2015. The program was started years before by Jackie Albarella and her friend Dan Frontera, and then Jim Becker, who was a therapist at the VA, and they came to the Burchfield around the end of 2014, and so we've been doing it ever since, every Thursday, and even in the summertime, and it's open to all veterans as well as their family members. It's totally free, and you don't have to sign up to come in advance. You just show up, and I'll greet you at the door, and the program begins. And there are also, we have a partnership with the VA hospital, and there is usually a van that comes with inpatients will come and participate as well. And so there can be, on any given Thursday, there can be as few as 4 people, as many as 20 people. We never know, but we're open and flexible, and we're ready.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. And so the program is simple. I'm a docent. I'm a volunteer docent, and so my role in it is to give a tour of something at the Burchfield Penny, one of our exhibits or a part of our exhibit. And my tour is most often based on whatever the art project is that the veterans will be working on after the tour. So I'll meet with the project manager, and our project manager is always an artist, and the project manager will tell me in advance what the project is for that evening. I'll go in with them, and I'll take a look at the materials, and sometimes the project manager will walk with me through the exhibits and say, maybe this, maybe that, but usually I'm on my own, and the project manager will say, this is what we're doing, so, figure out what it is that you want to explore with the veterans. And that becomes the focus of the tour, but then there are other things that catch the veteran's eye, and they'll say, Gina, could we take a look at this, could we take a look at that, and fine, we move to that. And the tour is about 45 minutes to an hour, and then the project is an hour or so afterwards. And as far as the project work, the kinds of work, you don't have to be a trained artist. You don't even have to see yourself as having any artistic talent at all.
That's good, because I can't even draw stick
Right,
figures.
and so the focus is to kind of how do we express ideas, feelings through the visual. It focuses on visual expression, and so we'll look at how the artists whose work is in the gallery achieve that, and then come in and do a project that allows the veteran to, or the family member to work with materials to express whatever it is that what they care to express. And for me as a docent, I think that the beauty of it is there's just a sense of community from the moment the vets begin to gather, and they introduce themselves, I introduce myself to them, they introduce themselves to me, to each other. There are occasionally people that they recognize, and then when we move into the gallery, it's not like, you know, a question and answer period, you know, so we'll look at something and we might walk up to a Burchfield painting and we'll take a look at it and I'll say, well, tell me, you know, what's going on in that painting? And, you know, after a few moments of silence, you know, people start right away. And then I'll ask them, well, you know, what in the painting made you say that? And people will say why, and then somebody else will extend that idea, or maybe even counter it a little bit and say, no, I think it's this or whatever. And I always remind them that there's no right answer.
Right, right.
You know, I mean, sometimes I think people are afraid of art, right?
Right. Well, even with veterans, a lot of times it's hard, if you're going through any types of struggles, it's hard to speak up, it's hard to talk out. It's hard to even get out of the home and get to an environment that maybe you're not familiar with. It's scary. And getting them just to get to that point and just getting in that environment, and then you throw into the mix that you're surrounded by other veterans, you're getting that comfort, you're getting that confidence, if you will, that you may have been lacking.
And it's interesting when you say that sometimes it's difficult to even get out and to even begin to come to the Burchfield Center.
Right.
And I've had experiences there where a vet will say, you know, I need to use my phone. And use the phone, and he'll call somebody, or she'll call somebody and say, I know he wants to come. And, you know, he'll say, well, and I remember one time a vet said to me, well, could we wait a few more minutes because he's stuck in traffic on the 190 and he's coming. And so it's just, for me, it was a look into how they've talked about this in advance, and we're going to meet and we're going to do this. And you know, that's really, you know, beautiful in that way. And I think too that because it's opened up to family members, I think that oftentimes the vets are comfortable because they're with their family members. You know, we have a husband and wife. They're there every Thursday on the third Thursday of the month. They're there every Thursday together. There's a man who since the beginning has come with his granddaughter, and I think I mentioned to you before, it was, for me, it was wonderful to watch Mary move from middle school into high school, and you know, and the two of them, I love watching them work together, and you know, as they kind of compare their work or encourage one another. There's
seeing that family time.
Yeah, and
it's important.
Yeah, and there was another vet who came for an entire year, and he had his two daughters. They were like, you know, 7 and 9 years old, and the projects, I think, are designed in such a way to create space for people to come to it with whatever experience you have in artistic experience or you lack. You know, it's like no one sits there and says, I can't do this.
Right.
And there was even when we're in the project space, although I'm not the project manager, I'm usually there to assist in any way, you know, that I can. And you know, I remember we had one project that really required some very precise measurements with rulers, and I kind of looked over and I noticed that there was one young man who everybody just kind of almost stealthily kept sliding their paper over to him. And what he was doing is he was doing all the measurement for everybody. That precision.
The teamwork.
Teamwork.
Serious teamwork.
Really serious teamwork. And then he would pass the paper back, you know.
Fantastic.
And then, you know, finally he was, you know, got his own paper set up. So there's that kind of, you know, teamwork, that sense of belonging, you know, of stepping in and helping out without being intrusive.
Right. Well, and then you get that interaction, and you start talking, and then you start talking about not even just the measuring, but you start talking about your military, you start talking about other things maybe that you're going through, whether it's something positive or a struggle you're having. And that brings me to our Operation Boots. And Operation Boots is all I keep thinking about as we're talking about all of this, even before for, where every month we get together and we open it up to all veterans. We prioritize the combat veterans, and then as we have extra seats available, we open it up to all veterans. Our budget is such a great budget that we're able to bring in a lot of veterans, and we have so much support from our community that we're able to do for even more veterans. And I think this would be fantastic for us to partner and to be able to have one of our Operation Boots gatherings with Burchfield Penny. I think it would be amazing. And as I see, I know very little about art. Now, my daughter's an art major and gets none of that from me. That's all kudos to her father. But she is very passionate about her art, and she's very passionate about art therapy. She's kind of gearing towards the graphic designing, but her passion is art therapy. And through that, I have seen how much therapy that art does for you, whether it be playing with clay or painting or drawing. There's so many more things with art than seeing paintings. It's photographs, it's pictures, and I'm preaching to the choir here, and I don't have that knowledge. But the little bit I do, I know how passionate it is for some people and how good it is for those getting them out of their comfort zone a little bit in baby steps.
And so you see too in that is that, you know, even when by just looking at art, you know, one of the questions that someone will often ask, a participant will often ask is, how did he do that? Or, you know, why did he do that? And they'll begin to explore that, and inevitably there's somebody in the group who does have an art background, you know, like I've had vets come through that have, you know, masters in fine arts, you know, or who are photographers. And, you know, when we have an exhibit that features photography, you know, they come through and they add so much to the discussion. And not ever in a way of talking down to anyone, but of just exploring. Because, you know, what art is ultimately it's a transaction between the artist and the viewer. And we all come to stuff because we're all very different. We all have our own frame of reference, and we see what we see based on what our experiences have been. And the Burchfield Penny exhibits change like every 3 to 6 months. And so we have several galleries, and so it's ever changing. So when I mentioned the people who come every month, it's always something different, okay, that we can focus on, or they can see, or they can go back and look at something that captured their attention before. And I'm thinking of in different media as well. And like right now we have we always have 2 galleries that are dedicated to the work of Charles Burchfield, and those will usually be his watercolors. And
But do you have a theme this
month?
Do you have something
there will be a theme to each exhibit.
Okay.
And there's plenty of I think our curators do a wonderful job of with the text that they provide, you know, to go along with the exhibits or the other artifacts, and so it's accessible from a variety of different levels. And we had I'm thinking of the Marion Fowler, which for me, when I first started to work with the Veterans, Artists and Veterans Collaborative, her exhibit was up, it was back in the end of 2014 into 2015, and she's a documentary photographer.
Okay.
And she's deceased now, but she photographed community, and she would go into different communities and look at and photograph what was important to them, what reflected their values, what they thought is beautiful. And so at that time in this exhibit, she had there were holiday photographs, and so because they were taken in our community, people could recognize things. Like there was one house that I know is on Colvin that has this incredible Christmas display, and so it was a photograph of that house. There were